Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I'm talking about anxious thinking roots, and I'm hoping to help you uproot what is keeping you stuck. We're going to go beneath the surface of anxiety to look at the roots, those hidden patterns of thought that quietly shape our emotional landscape. Because if we keep trimming the leaves of our anxious thinking without tending to the roots, we'll find that those same fears and struggles just sprout up somewhere else again and again. Let's start with 4 ways that I think you can begin to get to the roots. And the first one is negative self-talk. I want you to be aware of this. You might not even realize it's happening. It's kind of that subtle background commentary that we let go on all day. Things such as, why did I say that? Or I'm not doing enough. Or I'll never get this done. That negative self-talk is often just a habit. It's an old recording that started in childhood or in school or through our early relationships. And it plays on a loop. It's unnoticed and it's powerful. Left unchecked, it feeds anxiety like water to a root system. One way to become more aware of this is through journaling. In your journal or your notebook, jot down the moments during the day when you catch a negative thought. And then at the day's end, look back at each one and offer a neutral or a kind reframe. It doesn't have to be super sugar-coated. It can just be something like, that was hard, but I'm learning. Or, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. Or, it's okay to feel this way. This practice gently rewires your internal narrative, and your nervous system will feel the difference. The second one is expectations. This is a big one, I think, because expectations are often hidden beneath our anxiety. We expect ourselves to be calm, perfect, on time, liked, and in control. We expect others to behave in a certain way. We expect life to go according to our plan. And when life doesn't meet those expectations, what happens? We tense up. We panic. We feel out of control. But here's the shift. Having desires and goals is not the issue, but when we grasp at those goals, when we tie our worth or our happiness to outcomes, we get stuck. So try asking instead, can I hold this lightly? Can I allow for what is, even if it's different from what I expected? These are just questions that you can gently ask yourself. This is where real freedom lives. Not in getting everything that we want, but in meeting whatever comes to us with grace and flexibility. I want to say that again. This is where real freedom lives. Not in getting what we want, but in meeting whatever comes with grace and flexibility. And the third one for the digging out of the roots is the shoulds and the inner critic. I want to ask you, how often do you hear yourself say, I should be better by now. I shouldn't feel this way. I should be doing more. That little word, should, carries a lot of weight, and it often stems from an internalized voice, a parent, a teacher, a culture, a set of rules, whatever, where we have absorbed it without realizing it. So pause when you hear a should and ask, who says? Do I actually believe that? And is that true for me right now? You might find that the voice telling you what you should do isn't your authentic voice. It's a leftover script. When you start checking in with your values, your timing, your nervous system's needs, you can trade should for a choice. And root for finally digging up this guy, taking things personally. This one is especially hard for those of us with sensitive hearts. When someone cuts us off in traffic or doesn't respond to a message or criticizes us, it's easy to assume that we did something wrong. Any of you people pleasers out there will get this. But here is a gentle truth. Most of what others do has nothing to do with us. As Don Miguel Ruiz writes in the Four Agreements, nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. And just a little side note, if you haven't read the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, it's a wonderful, beautiful, little tiny book that is well worth your time and effort. Now, and this one belief can radically shift your anxious thinking. It reminds us that people live in their own internal weather systems. They are living in their own stress, their own stories, moods, and patterns. It's not always about you. Imagine the weight that lifts when you stop trying to interpret or fix what others are doing and instead focus on how you respond. I hope that one is landing for you because it can really, as I said earlier, radically shift your anxious thinking. So how are we going to put all of this together? We have our 4 anxious thought roots, which are negative self-talk, unrealistic expectations, we have should thinking, and taking things personally. Each one keeps anxiety alive by reinforcing fear, control, and judgment. But when you start gently observing them, not judging them, but noticing them, something begins to shift. Your inner landscape becomes less tangled. There's space for breath, for kindness, for presence. You don't have to fix it all at once. You just have to become aware. And from awareness, new habits can grow. And I know when we are anxious, that feeling of needing to fix things and the needing to fix them now is huge. If we can understand that we don't have to fix things all at once, but if we become aware, if we can pay attention to what is there and actually see it, we can have new habits grow because there will be room. There is space inside of us for the breath, for kindness, for presence, for actually making a choice rather than just living out of reaction. I wonder if a practice you could do this week would be to choose one of the roots. And if you have a journal, use that or a note app on your phone. And when a should comes up, pause. And when you catch negative self-talk, write it down and rewrite it with the kindness. When expectations sneak in, breathe and release the need to control. When someone's behavior triggers you, and I know it will, it just happens. This is life. But when someone's behavior triggers you, remind yourself, this may not be about me. Just one small shift a day can make a difference for you because awareness is the beginning of healing. So remember that negative self-talk root, the one that you say without even realizing it. The why did I say that? I'm not doing enough. I'll never get over this. I want you to remember that first root could be just a habit. It is not who you are. You can reframe this instead. You can say nice things to yourself, such as, that's hard, but I'm learning. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. Or it's okay to feel this way. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. It's a time now for you to offer a neutral or a kind reframe to yourself. When you notice that first root, those negative self-talking pieces come up in you, be kind or neutral. It's hard for some people to be kind to themselves, I know, but at least be neutral. Second one, with those expectations, again, I want you to know that you can make a shift. We can hold those things lightly. We can allow for what is actually happening, even if it's different from what we expected, because that's where real freedom lives. That real freedom that I talked about in not getting what we want, but meeting whatever comes with grace and flexibility. We can handle it. I know if you've been anxious for a while, you don't think you can, but you can. And that is where your freedom lives. And that third root, the shoulds, remember those shoulds. And that inner critic beating you up day after day. Don't have to hear that anymore because you can come back to it. You can give a little pushback. And you can say, who says that I should be better by now? Who says that? Or do I actually believe that? How many times has this tape gone over and over in your mind, or that inner critic said that same nasty thing to you over and over again? And have you ever stopped to ask if you really believe it? Because I bet you don't, but we let it just play. You have a choice. And that fourth root of taking things personally, this is a big time to shift this. You now know, you've been told. You've been told. As Don Miguel Ruiz says, nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. Just let that sink in. See if you can start that practice this week of keeping your journal. And when a should comes up, pause. And if you catch some negative self-talk, pause, write it down, rewrite it with some kindness. When expectations sneak in, breathe and release that need to control. And when someone's behavior triggers you, remind yourself, this might not be about me. I know you can make those little shifts. That's why I went over them again. They are small, but they are important. Sometimes we need to hear things more than once. You know, Tara Brach said the boundary to what we can accept is the boundary to our freedom. Isn't that beautiful? Our freedom lies in what we can accept. Of course, we always strive to do better, and we work, and we have goals, and we move forward, and we make wrong things right. But the boundary to what we can accept is the boundary to our freedom. May your awarenesses today expand your freedom tomorrow. I really appreciate you being here with me. You're doing important work. It's hard work. And the thing is, we can't just listen to it, right? I know you are so dear to put me in your earbuds and for us to have this time together. But there is so much for you to do outside of listening or reading. I want you to take to heart the things I talked about today so that you can move the needle just a little bit, because that will serve you and keep you going to move it even more the next day. So be gentle with yourself, and I'll be back before you know it. And now for today's quote. The boundary to which we can accept is the boundary to our freedom. And that's from Tara Brach. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.